Yeah. Yeah.
Hi everyone, welcome to Enjoy English School. I'm Steven.
I'm Minnie.
Today's date is May 10th, and we're going to be covering pages 22 to 26 in the next 2 days with feature.
那今天5月10号呢，我们会在第22到26页，然后跟明天的主题会是同一个。
The title of today's article is Whale Tales.
那今天的专题特写，我们要讲的是一鸣惊人，鲸鱼的鲸哦，然后大自然的惊奇。
Right, so it rhymes, whale
Yes.
tales, right? But tales in this situation doesn't mean what animals have, 尾巴, right? It means a story,
Yes.
right? Whale tales.
Fairy tale 的 tale.
Sperm whales have a history of close encounters with humankind.
那今天的这个主题，他说抹香鲸有着显喻人类的过去。
All right, let's get started. Sperm whales are a remarkable species that can be found throughout the world's oceans.
那抹香鲸是一个在全世界海洋里面生存的一种很奇特的物种。
Right, so first of all, let's talk about that word sperm. Okay, sperm in Chinese is 精子, right, which comes from a male. But this word sperm in this was for sperm whales doesn't mean that kind of sperm. I always thought it meant that. And I was always curious, why are they called sperm whales? Okay, the reason why is they have an organ in their head. It's called a spermacety organ.
Spermacety.
And we'll find out more about that information later. I just want to explain why they're called sperm whales. Okay, it has nothing to do with
Sperms.
male sperm. Okay, 就是跟精子是没有关系的. All right, and then let's look at the adjective remarkable.
Remarkable.
It's another way of saying like amazing. Okay, it's like an amazing species. It's a remarkable species. And since this is a adjective that means like amazing, make sure to read it like that, okay? To make people feel that it is remarkable. It is amazing. So it's a remarkable species that can be found throughout the world's ocean. So you can see it everywhere in many different parts of the world in the ocean.
所以老师刚刚有特别强调 remarkable 这个形容词，它其实就是有点像是 amazing， 很让人惊奇啊，很奇特的，我们就可以说 remarkable。那因为它的意思是让人家这么眼睛就是发亮的，所以我们在讲它的时候，那个语调上面也会做一个强调 remarkable 这样子。
It's very important.
Yes.They
can live to be up to 70 years old, and the largest males can grow to be more than 20 meters in length.
那在这边的 day 当然就是指我们前面讲过的抹香鲸这个 sperm whale， 那它们的寿命可以长达70岁，而且最大型的雄鲸就是男生的体长可以达到20公尺以上。
Right, so when we say that they can live up to 70 years old, that means they usually don't go past 70 years old. So 70 is the upper limit, the
最
maximum.
高的。
But when we're talking about the 20 meters in length, it says they can grow to be more than 20 meters in length. That means they can be even longer than 20 meters. So always pay attention to what is being said before the numbers, so you know that if this number is the maximum limit or the minimum limit.
所以老师刚刚讲到一个很重要，当我们在阅读一篇文章，你看到数字的时候，你就要再往前看看它这个数字它是到顶的封顶的数字，还是说它是一个范围，还是说它可以超过至少至多至少或者是一个范围，我们就要把这个看清楚。
Right, so 你可以看到 up to 70 years, the preposition is to, 就是直到70年 right? And then to be more than 20 meters, 就知道这个是一定是跨过20 meters, okay? And then length, 这个字呢 some people actually say length as well. Yes, length. 20 meters in length. Yeah, I hear that sometimes. So length or length, I've heard both. They have a large, square-shaped head and a long, narrow mouth with a row of sharp teeth on the lower jaw.
所以在这边的 day 一样，我们在讲抹香鲸，它们有着巨大方形的头跟狭长的嘴巴，那在下颚的地方有一排尖利的牙齿。
Okay, so here we see large square-shaped head. Okay, so these are two adjectives. And when we have two different adjectives describing the same noun, we usually use a comma to separate them. Okay, unless there's a color. Like if they said they have a white square-shaped head. In this situation, when there's a color involved, there's no need for a comma. Okay, but if it's not a color, usually there are two, when there are two adjectives, use a comma. And we see that later in the sentence with long, narrow mouth. Okay, so it just helps people who are reading it know that these are two different adjectives. Okay.
所以这个也是书写很重要的。通常在英文里面，我们要讲两个形容词放一起的时候，中间会有个逗号。但如果你前面弄的形容词是颜色的话，那是不加逗号的哦。
And then here we see lower jaw. So the jaw is this part right here. Okay, so you also have an upper jaw. Okay. Sperm whales are carnivores, and they feed mostly on giant squid, which they can swallow whole.
所以它这边有讲到 carnivore 这个字是肉食性，所以抹香鲸它是肉食性动物，而且它们以大王乌贼当作是它们的主食，而且可以一次直接整口吞下。
Wow. So sperm whales are very big.
Yes,
right?
they are.
So here we see the word carnivore. A carnivore is a type of animal that eats mainly meat or eats only meat to survive. Okay, a lot of animals are like that, like lions, right? You don't see a lion eating a salad, right? Or eating vegetables. They eat meat. So they are carnivores. But if they are animals that eat only plants, like plants or, you know, other things that like fruits and stuff like that, they're called herbivores.
Herbivore.
Herbivores, herbivore. Okay.
草食性动物。
And if they're an animal that eats both,
like us,
human beings, that's called an omnivore.
Omnivore.
Okay, so that's OMNIVORES.
杂食杂食对杂食动物。
So it's carnivore.
Carnivore.
And then herbivore.
Herbivore.
Okay, 有 HERB 就是很像那个
药草的那个字，
对 herbivore and omnivore.
Omnivore.
Okay.
Omnivore.
Omnivore. It's a hard word to say, right? So make sure you go 先闭起来那个嘴型。Omnivore.
Nivore.
Okay. And then when we say that, when we can swallow something whole, that means that we don't even need to bite it. You just swallow the whole thing.
直接吞掉。
直接吞掉. So they can swallow the giant squids whole. Okay. So 这个 whole 在这个 sentence, it's an adverb. 它是个副词，让你知道它是怎么样去吞。然后它有说 they feed mostly on. 这也是可以说 they eat giant squids. Okay, giant squid. So feed on something is just the same way of saying, it's a different way of saying eat something.
但是如果用 feed on 的话，要注意介系词是 on。但是如果用 eat 的话，就不需要任何介系词。
Exactly. All right, let's take a short break. Sperm whales are also the world's loudest animal.
OK， 所以他说抹香鲸也是世界上 loudest 最大声动物哦。
So when you see this adjective loudest, okay, some people might want to say loudest, okay? They might want to do two different D sounds, but the D actually comes in with the dist part. So you just go loudest.
Loudest.
Okay, 是这样分会比较清楚。Their large heads hold an amazing biological system that can produce clicking sounds at a volume louder than jet engines.
哇哦！所以抹香鲸用这种声音，应该说他们的头部有着很不可思议的一个生物的结构系统，让他们可以发出比这个喷射机音量还要大的一种声响。
Right, so here when we see the verb hold, we can also use contain. C-O-N-T-A-I-N. In Chinese, that's
包含。
So their large heads contain an amazing, and this adjective, I'm using it like remarkable.
Yes.
So read it like it really is amazing, because it is.
It is.
An amazing biological system. Now, biological is the adjective form of biology. Right?
生物。
Which is the study of animals and plants and anything living in this world. So biological system that can produce, or you can also say make. Right? So they can make clicking sounds. How loud are these clicking sounds? At a volume louder than jet engines. Okay, I went to watch a video on YouTube because I was curious. It really sounds like it's like...
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, I'd be really scared if I heard that. You know, if I didn't know it was a whale, I'd be really scared.
I feel like dolphins also.
Dolphins are more like it's like that. It's more outwards,
okay.
but this is like. Yeah, but I hear they do that sound. So, it's going to explain why they do those sounds. I think it's really interesting.
Okay.
The whales use these sounds to communicate with each other and to find prey, which they detect using sound waves.
所以抹香鲸用这种的声音呢，来跟就是同类来做一个沟通，然后运用这样子的音波来侦测猎物，来找到他们的踪迹。
So in this sentence, when we see that they use these sounds to communicate, 这个 to 在这个 sentence
in order to
它是为了要去做这个事情，说为了要 communicate with each other, okay? And not only that, they also use this sound to find prey. So here we see an and then 我们会直接讲 verb because we're still talking about the same subject, right? The whales use these sounds. So the main subject of the sentence is these sounds, okay? To find prey. So prey is
猎物，
对 right? So predator is
狩猎者
Predator. In this situation, the whales are the predator. What they eat is the prey, right? So they're looking for these things to eat, and then how do they find them? They use it by detecting these animals using sound waves. So when you detect something, you're basically finding this thing, usually not by seeing it, by feeling it, or by using a radar. Okay, so like, you know, a boat or a submarine might use a radar to detect if there are any, you know, weapons or incoming missiles. You know, they use sound waves or radio waves to find these things.
老师刚刚有讲那个 boat 或者是 submarine 是船跟所谓的潜水艇，那这些他们是用雷达来侦测 detect 这个字就是侦测。对，那像这个动物它是用声音去做侦测，所以它发那个的声音，它可能会去听说，多远我可以
那个 sound wave 怎么样的方式
怎么样回来
反弹回来？
对我就知道我的猎物 prey 在大概多远的地方。
So it's really interesting, and it happens for animals that don't need to use their eyes as much because in the ocean everything's so dark. So you can't really see things with your own eyes, which is the same for animals. So since they can't rely on their eyes, 他们不能依赖他们眼睛, they have to use different ways, like sound
其他的
waves.
sense 这样子。
Otherwise, they'll be hungry.
I wish I could use something else other than my eyes.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But no, we only use our eyes in. Inside their large forehead is the spermacety organ, a balloon-like organ filled with a thick waxy substance.
哇，这一句好难哦。他说，在他们巨大的前额，额头的额中有一个那个经脑油的这个器官，那是一种像气球一样的器官，那内部是充满很厚很厚像蜡一样的这种物质。
Right, so here we see organ, comma, and then behind organ, we're basically using this as like an adjective. It's describing what this organ is like. Okay, so this spermacety organ is a, 你可以讲 is a, right? Okay, is a balloon-like organ. When we see hyphen like behind a noun, we're trying to say that it looks like this, or it's very similar to this. So it's very similar to a balloon. Okay, or it looks like a balloon. It's a balloon-like organ, all right, filled with a thick, waxy substance. Here we see thick, comma, waxy. That's because that's two adjectives together again. And then waxy is something that has, you know, candle wax. It has that kind of, you know, kind of
滑滑的
slippery, but kind of sticky at the same time. It just has a very interesting texture. You can just imagine a candle wax, but this substance from the spermacety organ is also waxy, okay? And what do we mean by substance? It's when we're trying to describe something that is solid, but yet a little bit like a liquid. It's just something that doesn't have a very obvious, like, form.
所以有点固体状又有点液态状的这种所谓的物质，我们就可以用 substance 这个字来做一个使用。
Right.
对。
So we can't say thing because the thing is usually solid.
固体的。
Right.
对，所以我们才会用 substance。然后刚刚老师有讲到那个 balloon-like 要特别注意，像我们什么名词 dash like 就是像什么东西的，中文就直接翻译像。
美的像一个神仙，我会说 goddess-like. OK， 这个也可以啊，那不同的名词，然后加一个 hyphen like， 就形容说她就像神仙般的一个女孩子这样子。
不失礼貌的微笑。
All right, and the substance is just a really good way to describe something. When we don't know what it is, we're like, it's a substance. I don't know.
就是一种物质啦。对啊，我也说不出来是什么，反正就是一个物质啦。
Right. Although scientists do not have a complete understanding of this organ, in theory, the whales can adjust the density and the weight of the organ to help with dive control and protection during fights.
哇哦，所以你看科学家，你看大自然的力量多伟大！你看，虽然科学家对这种器官还没有全盘的了解哦，但理论上来讲，抹香鲸能够调整精脑油的密度跟重量，来帮他们控制潜水还有打斗的防御。哦，他们会打斗哦。
会打斗 yeah, of course. Sperm whales, they fight as well. Yeah. Every animal fights. I think we all fight. Humans fight a lot too. So it says that scientists do not have a complete understanding of this organ. That means that they do have some understanding. It's just not completely understanding this organ. But in theory, based off of their research, based off of what scientists know, they can tell that the whales can adjust or they can change, right? And adjust is a little bit different from change. Because change is just saying that it's becoming something different. Adjusting is changing something to help you, right? To make it better for you. Okay, so adjust the density and weight. A lot of times people are very confused. What's the difference between density and weight? Weight is how much gravity is pushing down on something. Density is taking into account mass and volume. And it's basically how tight are the atoms packed together in this thing, okay? And then this organ can help them dive or control that dive and also can help them protect them when they're fighting.
所以刚刚老师有讲到，就是 adjust adjust 这个字，它其实是调整，跟 change 不一样。change 感觉是直接把 A 变成 B，形态可能会改变。但是如果是 adjust 的话，我只是些微调整，可能头发太长把它剪掉一点点，这种调整就是可能是 adjust，比较会使用上来讲比较恰当。然后再来，老师刚刚有特别讲 density 跟 weight， 一个是质量，一个是重量，这两个的差异。重量就是我们被所谓的 gravity， 也就是重力去拉它，我们现在在这个地球上的重量。可是如果是质量的话，它比较像是一种密度的感觉，所以 density 我们中文翻密度会可能比较好理解。
Yes. All right, let's take a short break. Sperm whales were hunted worldwide for centuries, and the situation was particularly grave after World War II.
全球的抹香鲸几个世纪以来都不停的被猎杀，那这样的情况其实在 WW2 二战之后特别的严重。
Right, so the word worldwide, you could also use the word globally, okay, globally. Okay, so all over the world for many, many centuries, so more than 100 years, 100, 200, 300 years maybe. And the situation was particularly, this word is very difficult to say quickly, particularly. Make sure the L's, your tongue comes out. 这样子会比较好念。你可以先念它的 adjective, particular, 然后再加个 particularly. 舌头要一直出来。在 L 的时候 grave in this situation is not the noun, which means 坟地 or 坟墓. It means it's an adjective that means serious. Okay, so it was serious after World War II. The high-quality oils made from spermaceti were used to make candles, lamps, cosmetics, and mechanical lubricant.
那这个由精脑油中取得的这个高品质的油脂，可以拿来做蜡烛、油灯、化妆品或者是机械的润滑油。
Right, so 很多次这些的形容词呢，它不是直接用一个形容词，它会加一个名词，像 high quality, 然后把那个有个 hyphen 在中间的时候，我们就知道它的用法是一个形容词，就像刚刚那个 balloon like， 它是拿一个形容词跟一个名词放在一起变成一个形容词。对，
复合形容词的用法也是在国中教材里面蛮重要的。
And cosmetics are things like makeup,
化妆品
like facial care,
保湿啊之类的。
And what mechanical are things like machinery, right? So like different equipment and different things that have mechanical components, and lubricant is something to make it slippery. So it's slippery. Sperm whales also produce ambergris, a valuable substance formed in their digestive tract, which is used in the production of perfume.
那抹香鲸体内也会产生一种叫做龙涎香，那是一种在消化道内所产生的一种非常珍贵的物质，然后呢，人们可以把它拿来做成香水。
Right, and it's formed in their digestive tract. What is the digestive tract? It's like everything in your 你的消化系统. You can also say digestive system, okay? But the digestive tract is just trying to emphasize the organs that are involved in the digestive system. And this is used to make or to produce perfume, which is really interesting. I didn't know that.
Very weird.
Never knew what I was spraying on myself has
sperm whale
substances. Yes. All right, let's go to the review. All right, Minnie 老师, what is a species?
Species 就是物种，生物物种。
And if the species is a carnivore, what do we mean?
那就代表这个物种它是 carnivore， 就是只吃肉，肉食性的。
Herbivore?
草食性的。
And omnivore.
杂食性的。
That's right. And we're talking about the sperm whale. So what is the spermacety organ?
那就是它的精脑油这样子的器官。
And inside this organ, there's a substance that is very waxy. What is waxy?
Waxy 就是很像有点像蜡一样的质地，我们就叫 waxy.
So when we say the word grave, the noun means
坟墓。
坟墓. But if it's used as an adjective,
代表很严重的。
Right. So it's a grave situation.
很严重的一个情况。
Right. And then last, we're going to talk about the digestive tract. What is that?
就是你的消化道，可能包含小肠、胃啊、小肠啊等等整套系统这样。
Exactly. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We'll continue with this subject tomorrow. See
Bye
you
bye.
第22页，专题特写，一鸣惊人，大自然的惊奇。
Whale tails. Sperm whales are a remarkable species that can be found throughout the world's oceans. They can live to be up to 70 years old, and the largest males can grow to be more than 20 meters in length. They have a large, square-shaped head and a long, narrow mouth with a row of sharp teeth on the lower jaw. Sperm whales are carnivores, and they feed mostly on giant squid, which they can swallow whole. Sperm whales are also the world's loudest animal. Their large heads hold an amazing biological system that can produce clicking sounds at a volume louder than jet engines. The whales use these sounds to communicate with each other and to find prey which they detect using sound waves. Inside their large forehead is the spermacety organ, a balloon-like organ filled with a thick, waxy substance. Although scientists do not have a complete understanding of this organ, in theory, the whales can adjust the density and weight of the organ to help with dive control and protection during fights. Sperm whales were hunted worldwide for centuries, and the situation was particularly grave after World War II. The high-quality oils made from spermacety were used to make candles, lamps, cosmetics, and mechanical lubricant. Sperm whales also produce ambergris, a valuable substance formed in their digestive tract, which is used in the production of perfume.